Hi, welcome to the Kennedy Brothers Collection. I'm Sean and this is my brother Wade, and we are the creators of the Kennedy Kitchen Pass-Through. Our pass-through is a creative and graceful piece which is made from 2-inch thick hardwood, ranging from African mahogany to Brazilian cherry. Each pass-through is very unique to us. We take a rough slab of wood, brand it with our logo, and turn it into a gorgeous special piece of furniture. Imagine opening up your kitchen to the dining room, or the dining room opened up to the living room. The possibilities are endless. Not only is the Kennedy Pass-Through functional as a seating and eating area, but it will beautify your home and be a conversation piece to everyone who visits. In this instructional video, we will demonstrate how to install the Kennedy Brothers Pass-Through. Every home is different and every installation is going to be different. When deciding on the location of your pass-through, one must decide whether you'll need to modify cabinets, or is the wall I'm cutting into a bearing wall? If so, you will need a header to support the weight. In some situations, wiring may need to be changed or a heat duct may need to be modified. In these instances, you may want to consult a licensed professional to help with the installation. Alright, the first step is marking out the center of the rough opening where you're going to install your pass-through. Today we are installing a 5-foot Brazilian cherry pass-through. Once we have our center mark established, we're going to measure from center each way 30 inches and make a mark. This mark represents the total length of the pass-through, which is 5 feet. Okay, now from 30-inch mark, come in 3 3/4 on each side. Now you have established your rough opening for width. Go ahead and make a level line on your wall. Let's establish height rough opening now. The width of the pass-through is standard, but the height openings may vary depending on what look you want. You may want an arched opening or a sheetrocked opening, or a cased opening with a jamb, which is what we are doing today. Today we are matching the door casing heights, so I will make the upper rough opening the same as the door height so that the casings come out the same and we have continuity. Go ahead and make another horizontal level line for the upper rough opening. Now we have our rough opening of our pass-through. Next is cutting out our rectangle. This is where it gets messy, so please wear a dust mask and eye protection. You're going to need a skill saw, sawzall, and in some cases a grinder with a diamond blade. If you're going through old plaster, use a diamond blade to reduce the wall from shaking and cracking your plaster. Before cutting your rough opening, it is very important to hang plastic around the area you are going to be cutting to prevent the dust from spreading to the rest of your home. On this particular wall, we will be using a grinder with a diamond blade to reduce the wall from shaking and cracking. Once you have cut the outline of the rough opening, go ahead and remove the lath and plaster. Next, you will need to cut through the 2x4 or 2x6 framing that is remaining. This procedure can be done with a combination of a skill saw, sawzall, and grinder. From your rough opening, on the top and bottom of the opening, measure 1.5 inches and make a 4 to 5 inch level line. Using your grinder or skill saw, go ahead and make a cut that is about 2.5 inches deep. Do this on both sides of the wall. Alright, we've cut out the outside of the wall, now we're moving into the kitchen side. And in order to transfer our marks from the other side of the wall, we drilled a hole through this bottom corner here, which represents the edge on the outside. And from there we pulled 52.5 inches, which was the dimension on the outside. And once we have that dimension, we just took a 4-foot level and we leveled up here and on that side. And then we measured down 1.5 inches from where I made that plunge cut with the skill saw on the outside, and that will give us our dimension for our height on this side. And so we're ready to cut the hole. Now that we've finished making our cut, the next thing to do is just go ahead and remove it from the wall and get it out of here. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out of here. Off in chunks. Great. So every house is a little different. This particular house here had sheetrock, plus another layer of lath and another layer of just old plaster on there. So like I say, each house is a little bit different, and you're going to just have to cut through a little bit more material depending on the home. So have fun.
And then remove the framing material, leaving you with your framing 1.5 inches lower and higher than your rough opening. We have now completed demo and created an opening for our soon-to-be Kennedy kitchen pass-through. Our next step is filling in the top and bottom and sides of our rough opening with either a 2x4 or a 2x6. Your framing should be flush with the rough opening. To attach the framing material around the opening, use a 3-inch countersink and 1 3/4 screws. By pre-drilling the lath and plaster or sheetrock, it will reduce the amount of cracking and shaking to the wall. To install the pass-through, tilt it at a 45-degree angle and slide one end of the notch into the wall while lowering down the other side of the pass-through until it lies down flat on your bottom 2x4. Each pass-through comes with pre-drilled holes and 3-inch screws to fasten down to the framing. Using a level, check to see if the pass-through is completely level, and if it needs to raise up on one end, use a graded shim to make the adjustment. Apply wood glue to the top of the corbel and liquid nails to the back of the corbel and attach to the wall and top. Now it's time to apply the wood plugs supplied in the pass-through kit. Apply a small amount of glue to the bottom plug and insert into the screw holes. Be sure to use a rubber mallet to pound the plugs into the holes, and make sure the grain of the plugs line up with the grain of the top and the corbel. The wood plugs are left about a 1/16 higher than the top on purpose. Using a palm sander with a 120 grit, sand the whole top nicely to where the plugs will be perfectly flush with the top. The Kennedy pass-through is now installed. From this point, it's time to fabricate the inner frame. This frame is usually called the jamb and is made of 3/4 inch material. The jamb is made smaller than the rough opening and is shimmed into place with graded wood shims. After the jamb is installed and shimmed plumb and level, it's time to install the casing that borders the perimeter of the jamb. The Kennedy pass-through is now complete. We have transformed a blank wall into an opening with a purpose and created a seating and eating area that will beautify your home and be a conversation piece to everyone who visits.